Growing up in our house felt like living in two separate worlds under the same roof. Our home, a modest two-story dwelling nestled on the outskirts of a busy city, was always alive with the sounds of laughter, chatter, and the occasional squabble between siblings. My parents, loving and hardworking, gave everything they had to provide for us. My father, an engineer, spent long hours in the office, while my mother, a nurse, often worked night shifts at the local hospital. Despite their grueling schedules, they made sure to carve out time for family dinners, weekend outings, and holidays that were filled with warmth and joy. I'm Lily, and I'm 24. My sister, Emma, is 2 years older than me. From an early age, it was obvious we were as different as night and day. Emma was the type of child who drew everyone's eyes wherever she went. With her tall, slender frame, flowing golden locks, and piercing blue eyes, she could have easily been a child model. Her beauty was captivating, magnetic, drawing admiration from everyone who crossed her path. Even as a toddler, people would stop my mother in the grocery store, gushing over Emma's looks. I, on the other hand, was considered cute by most. I had a petite frame, curly brown hair that never seemed to cooperate, and wide hazel eyes. Where Emma's beauty seemed to demand attention, mine was more subtle, often overlooked in the shadow of her brilliance. At first, I didn't mind. I adored Emma and felt proud of how effortlessly she commanded attention. Emma was outgoing, confident, and charismatic. She made friends without even trying and was always the center of attention, whether at school or social gatherings. Her laughter was infectious, and her energy seemed boundless. Emma had a gift for making others feel special, thriving in every social situation. I, on the other hand, was more introverted and reserved. I enjoyed quiet activities like reading, drawing, and exploring the outdoors with a small group of close friends. While Emma dazzled everyone with her charm, I found solace in the quieter, simpler moments of life. I played the role of the supportive sister, standing in the background, cheering her on from the sidelines. Despite our differences, Emma and I shared a close bond during our childhood. We spent hours in the backyard, creating imaginary worlds and going on grand adventures. Emma always took the lead, crafting elaborate storylines and assigning roles, while I followed along happily, adding my own twists to our tales. Our parents did their best to treat us equally, showering us with love and support. But as we grew older, the differences in how people saw us became more pronounced. Family gatherings were often a reminder of the vast gap in how others perceived us. Relatives would gush over Emma's beauty, while I often went unnoticed. Teachers would rave about Emma's potential to become a model or actress, while my academic and artistic achievements, though recognized, weren't celebrated with the same enthusiasm. One of my earliest memories of feeling overshadowed by Emma's beauty took place when I was just 6 years old. It was Emma's 8th birthday, and our parents had thrown a grand party. Our house was filled with laughter and music, echoing through every room. Emma wore a beautiful pink dress, with a matching bow in her hair, looking every bit like a princess from a fairy tale. I wore a simple blue dress, feeling pretty but utterly plain beside her dazzling appearance. As the guests arrived, they flocked to Emma, showering her with compliments and gifts. "You look like a little princess, Emma," they would say. "You're going to break so many hearts when you grow up." Meanwhile, I stood nearby, smiling politely, waiting for someone to notice me. A few guests did offer kind but brief comments like, "Lily, you look cute too," but the focus was always on Emma. That day, I felt a pang of jealousy, a confusing emotion I didn't fully understand at the time. I loved Emma and wanted her to be happy, yet I couldn't help but feel invisible in her shadow. That feeling would follow me through my childhood and well into my teenage years, growing more intense with each passing year. Family outings only added to the sense of disparity. Whether at the park, the zoo, or on a beach vacation, Emma always attracted admiring glances and comments from strangers. "What a beautiful child," they would say. "She should be in movies." My parents would smile, grateful for the compliments, while I quietly stood beside them, wishing for just a fraction of the attention Emma received. The first day of elementary school marked a milestone for both Emma and me. With her natural charisma and stunning looks, Emma was immediately popular. She made friends effortlessly, her laughter and charm pulling others toward her like a magnet. I admired her ability to connect with people but often found myself standing quietly by her side, watching as she navigated the social landscape with ease. Emma's popularity grew rapidly. She was invited to every birthday party, picked first for group activities, and always had someone to sit with at lunch. I, on the other hand, struggled to fit in. Making friends didn't come naturally to me. I was shy, preferring the quiet company of a good book to the noise of the playground. While Emma thrived in school, I often felt like an outsider, watching from the sidelines. In the classroom, the differences were just as evident. Teachers adored Emma, praising her for her participation, enthusiasm, and the way she brightened up every room she entered. "Emma, you're such a delight," they would say. "Your smile lights up the entire classroom." The praise I received was more subdued. "Lily, you did well on your spelling test," they would say, their tone lacking the same warmth and excitement. As the school year went on, significant events only highlighted the growing gap between Emma and me. One of those events was the annual school talent show. Emma decided to perform a dance routine and practice diligently every day after school. Our parents were thrilled, attending every practice session and offering words of encouragement. When the night of the talent show arrived, the auditorium was packed with students, parents, and teachers. Emma took the stage in a sparkling costume, her confidence radiating through the room. She performed flawlessly, her movements graceful, captivating the audience. The applause was deafening. I felt a surge of pride for my sister, but also a pang of jealousy that grew louder with each cheer. The moment the judges announced the winners, Emma's name echoed across the room, her victory in the artistic category dazzling everyone in the crowd. I, on the other hand, received an honorable mention for my research, a prize that felt hollow, as though it was handed to me out of pity. Our parents beamed with pride at Emma's achievement, their voices filled with excitement and praise. "Emma, you did such an amazing job. We're so proud of you," they cheered. But when it came to my accomplishment, the praise felt different. It was just a simple, "Good job, Lily." I tried to mask the disappointment, but deep down, I felt the sting. The relentless comparisons, the constant feeling of being in her shadow, were eating away at my self-esteem. I loved Emma, of course I did, but as much as I tried to be happy for her, a darker, bitter feeling gnawed at me. It wasn't her fault, it was mine. It was the resentment that kept growing, the sense of inadequacy that seemed to follow me everywhere. One summer, our family decided to take a trip to a lakeside cabin. The place was serene, surrounded by towering trees, the water of the lake crystal clear, and the perfect temperature for swimming. Emma and I spent our days swimming, exploring the woods, and gathering around the campfire to roast marshmallows. The warm firelight flickered against our faces as the night grew darker. One afternoon, while we were swimming, a group of kids from a neighboring cabin came over to join us. Emma, with her effortless charm, quickly became the center of attention. They were drawn to her, captivated by her natural beauty and outgoing personality. Before long, they were laughing, playing games, and splashing around together, leaving me standing at the edge of the group, watching from a distance. I wanted to join in, to be part of their fun, but it felt like I wasn't even seen. It wasn't long before the pang of jealousy hit me. Emma made friends so easily, while I struggled to find my place. I wanted to join in, to be part of it, but I was always on the outskirts, silently observing. That evening, as we sat by the campfire, I couldn't shake the feeling of being left out. Emma had always been the social one, the one who could light up a room, while I was the quiet one, the one who didn't seem to belong. This feeling, the feeling of being overshadowed, was becoming too familiar, and I didn't know how to shake it off. As we moved through elementary school, the gap between Emma and me only seemed to widen. She thrived in social situations, while I found solace in my studies, retreating into my books and hobbies. The more I retreated, the more I felt like an outsider in the social circles that Emma seemed to glide through with ease. One day during recess, a group of girls invited Emma to join their game of hopscotch. I stood nearby, hoping they would include me, but it was clear they didn't even notice I was there. Emma, sensing my hesitation, turned and said, "Lily, come play with us." I walked over, thankful for the invitation, but as we played, it became clear that the girls were far more interested in Emma. They laughed at her jokes, complimented her hopscotch skills, and clamored for her attention. I felt like I was invisible, a mere background character in a scene where Emma was the star. By 5th grade, the differences between us were undeniable. Emma was elected class president, a role that suited her outgoing, natural leadership. She was always in the spotlight, organizing events, leading discussions, and earning the admiration of everyone around her. I excelled academically, often receiving praise for my grades, but it always felt like my achievements were simply noticed out of obligation, not celebration. While Emma's triumphs were showered with applause, mine were acknowledged with polite smiles and half-hearted claps. One spring, our school hosted its annual field day, filled with athletic events and competitions. Emma, with her natural athleticism, threw herself into the day's events, signing up for everything she could. She won first place in the relay race, the long jump, and the obstacle course. The crowd cheered her on, and she stood tall as she held up her trophy, a symbol of her victory. Meanwhile, I participated in a few events, but my results felt small. I placed 3rd in the 3-legged race and earned a participation ribbon in the tug-of-war. Our parents congratulated me, but their excitement was clearly focused on Emma's triumphs. As we walked home that afternoon, Emma proudly carried her trophy, the weight of it in her hands a symbol of everything I felt I lacked. I held my ribbon, but it felt like a consolation prize. I was proud of my efforts, of course, but the overshadowing weight of comparison made everything feel insignificant. Why couldn't I have a moment to shine, to be celebrated in the way Emma always was? Despite all this, there were rare moments of solace, moments that gave me hope that maybe, just maybe, I could carve out a space for myself. One such moment came from Mrs. Thompson, our art teacher. She was always kind, always attentive to her students. After class one day, she asked me to stay behind. "Lily," she said, her voice warm with encouragement, "I've noticed you have a real talent for drawing. Your attention to detail, your ability to capture emotion in your work, it's impressive." I blushed, not used to receiving such direct praise. "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson," I said, my voice quiet with the unfamiliarity of her words. "I think you should enter your artwork in the school's art contest," she suggested, her eyes twinkling with genuine belief. "You have a gift, and I think it's worth sharing with others." Encouraged by her words, I decided to take a chance. I spent hours on a drawing, an image of a girl standing in a field of wildflowers, her expression a mixture of wonder and melancholy. I poured everything I had into that drawing, determined to create something I could be proud of. When the day of the art contest arrived, I felt a rush of excitement and nerves. The school gymnasium was filled with vibrant displays, each piece a testament to the talent of the students. Emma, ever supportive, was by my side as the judges made their rounds. My heart raced as I anxiously watched, hoping that my work would stand out. When the results were announced, I couldn't believe it. I had won first place in the drawing category. The applause was loud and sincere, and for the first time, I felt like I had earned a moment in the spotlight. Emma rushed over and hugged me tightly, her face beaming with pride. "I knew you could do it, Lily. You're amazing," she exclaimed. But as I walked into our living room later that day, hoping to share my excitement, I was greeted by the sight of Emma already basking in the glow of her own achievement. She had just returned from a photo shoot for a local magazine, and our parents were hanging on her every word as she described the experience. My heart sank as I watched the scene unfold. I quietly slipped into my room, holding my certificate and ribbon, my earlier joy deflating. I wanted to share my victory, to feel like my parents were as proud of me as they were of Emma. But in that moment, it felt as though my success had been swallowed up, overshadowed by Emma's latest accomplishment. My appearance remained mostly unchanged, no dramatic shifts in my look. My curly brown hair and hazel eyes, though charming, were often overshadowed by my sister's breathtaking beauty. She commanded attention effortlessly, while I quietly blended into the background. I wasn't the center of attention, and that suited me fine. My focus was always more on books, art, and the things that allowed me to retreat from the chaos of the world. I found peace in my quiet pursuits, while Emma thrived in the spotlight. As Emma's popularity soared, she dove headfirst into the world of modeling and beauty pageants. She was scouted by a local agency, and before long, she was participating in photo shoots and competitions. Our parents, ever the supportive figures, attended each event with pride, cheering her on from the sidelines. The trophies, sashes, and framed photos from her gigs soon filled her room. She was turning into a local celebrity, and our parents couldn't have been more proud. It was impossible not to notice how different our worlds were becoming. By the time high school came to an end, Emma had made a decision that seemed inevitable. She was going to chase her dreams in modeling and acting. With her striking beauty and undeniable charisma, she had already captured the attention of major agencies and casting directors. Soon, she was traveling from one gig to the next, auditioning across the country, her career taking off in a way that seemed so destined, so perfectly suited to her. Our parents were filled with pride, offering unwavering support. Meanwhile, I chose a different route. My love for art and literature had only deepened over the years, and I decided to attend a liberal arts college that would allow me to explore both of those passions in depth. My world might have been quieter, but it was just as fulfilling, filled with the promise of growth and discovery. The first day of college was an overwhelming mix of excitement and nervous energy. The campus was alive with students unpacking their lives into tiny dorm rooms, ready for the new chapter to unfold. A sense of freedom washed over me, a kind of independence I hadn't felt before. My dorm, though small, became my haven. Posters of famous paintings covered the walls, and stacks of books filled the shelves, each one waiting to take me on a new journey. It was my personal space, where I could escape into my creative world, a sanctuary for my dreams. College life quickly became a transformative experience. I threw myself into my studies, eager to learn and grow. The professors were passionate, their love for their subjects contagious. Every lecture, every discussion, every class felt like an opportunity to stretch my mind. My art classes gave me the freedom to experiment, while my literature courses challenged me to view the world through new lenses. I made friendships that deepened with each passing year. Late-night study sessions, shared meals, and heartfelt conversations became the foundation of my college experience. One of the people who became a central part of my college journey was Sarah, my roommate. Sarah was kind and supportive, and we quickly bonded over our shared love for art. Countless hours were spent in the art studio, working on projects, exchanging ideas, and talking about our hopes for the future. But the most significant relationship of my college years was with Mark. We met in our sophomore year in a creative writing class, where I was immediately drawn to his quiet, introspective nature. Mark, an English major with a love for poetry, had this depth to him that captivated me. His words were thoughtful, carefully chosen, and each conversation we had felt like a step into a world of beauty and meaning. Our friendship blossomed into something more, and before long, we were inseparable. Mark supported me in ways I had never known before, attending my gallery showings, cheering me on at readings, and always offering his insights on art, literature, and life. Mark's calm presence gave me strength. His steady belief in me helped me navigate the ups and downs of college life with a newfound sense of confidence. I found myself falling deeper in love with him, drawn not just to his intellect, but to his kindness, his gentle spirit. He was the anchor I didn't know I needed, and together, we began to build a future that seemed as though it had been written in the stars. But as my college years passed, the distance between Emma and me grew. Her career had catapulted her into a world of fame, excitement, and luxury. She was living a life many only dream of, attending glamorous red carpet events, mingling with celebrities, and jet-setting across the globe. Her success was impossible to ignore. She was often featured in magazines and on television, becoming a recognizable face. Despite our diverging paths, we kept in touch. She would occasionally visit me at college, bringing with her the whirlwind of excitement and glamour that defined her life. During these visits, Emma regaled me with stories of the extravagant parties she'd attended, the famous people she'd met, and the incredible projects she was working on. As thrilled as I was for her success, each of these visits stirred up old insecurities. One visit, in particular, stands out in my memory. Emma had just returned from a photo shoot in Paris and decided to surprise me with a visit. She arrived on campus in a sleek car, dressed in designer clothes, and carrying a suitcase full of gifts. As we walked through the campus, heads turned in her direction. The students couldn't help but be captivated by her beauty, drawn to her undeniable presence. "Paris was incredible, Lily," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "The Eiffel Tower, the fashion shows, the food, everything was just perfect. And guess what? I met a famous director who wants to cast me in his next film." "That's amazing, Emma," I replied, trying to mask the wave of jealousy that bubbled beneath the surface. "I'm really happy for you." As we continued our walk, Emma's stories of her glamorous life filled the air. Each tale was another reminder of the vast gap between our worlds. While Emma was living a life of constant adventure, I was tucked away in the quiet corners of academia, focused on my studies. It was hard not to compare our lives, and with each passing moment, the feeling of falling short crept further into my heart. Later that evening, as we sat in my dorm room, Emma noticed a stack of books and art supplies on my desk. "You always were the creative one, Lily," she said, her voice soft. "I wish I had your talent for art." I appreciated the compliment, but it didn't fully ease the insecurities that lingered. Despite all my personal growth and the progress I'd made in college, I still couldn't shake the shadow of comparison to Emma. It was an invisible weight I couldn't quite escape. As the years went by, I remained focused on my studies and my relationship with Mark. I knew I had to find my own identity, to carve out a life that was true to myself, without letting Emma's success dictate my worth. College had been an opportunity to explore my passions and develop my skills, and I was determined to make the most of it. The night had begun with such warmth, the cozy atmosphere of the cabin filling me with a sense of belonging as I listened to the others share their work. The gentle crackle of the fire in the background only added to the comfort, but it was in these moments, as we walked through the city streets, leaves crunching beneath our feet, that I felt something deeper. Mark and I spoke of our dreams, our hopes, and somewhere along that quiet walk, he shyly confessed his feelings for me. And it was then that I realized, I felt it too. Our relationship blossomed, the seed planted on that evening, and Mark became a constant source of calm and support. As I navigated the stormy waters of college life, he was there, steady as a rock, always with a kind word or a thoughtful gesture. We spent countless hours together, attending art exhibits, losing ourselves in study sessions, and exploring the city. He was the first to attend my gallery showings, always quick to offer words of encouragement or a constructive critique. One memory that stood out was during spring break, when we spontaneously packed up and headed to a small coastal town. The kind of place where the beaches were untouched and the art scene vibrant. We spent our days wandering through galleries, collecting seashells from the beach, and watching the sunset melt into the ocean. But it wasn't just the landscape that left an imprint on me, it was the way Mark made me feel. Wrapped in blankets on the balcony of our cozy cottage, our conversations drifted into the night, and I realized just how deeply I had fallen for him. He didn't just see me, he appreciated me for everything I was, from my creativity to my intelligence, and he made me believe in myself. Mark's unwavering presence was my anchor. During tough times, when college felt overwhelming, he was always there with coffee in hand, helping me organize my thoughts or reminding me to take a breath. When the weight of my senior thesis became too much to bear, he never faltered. His belief in me was like a quiet force, helping me push through the late nights, the self-doubt, and the pressure. As graduation approached, we spoke more and more about the future. The transition from college to the real world loomed ahead, but we faced it together, side by side. I was excited about my new position as an art instructor, and Mark had been accepted into a prestigious graduate program for creative writing. We were filled with hope, knowing that the path ahead would challenge us, but also offer opportunities to grow, both as individuals and as a couple. Our love deepened even as we faced those early post-college challenges. We moved into a small apartment together, surrounded by books, art supplies, and the memories of all we had shared. Mark still attended my art exhibits, and I never missed one of his poetry readings. There was a shared understanding between us, a recognition that our creative pursuits, though different, were just as meaningful and just as vital to who we were. Then, for our anniversary, Mark planned the perfect surprise. He whisked us away to a secluded cabin in the mountains, a retreat from the chaos of city life, a place where we could reconnect with nature. Nestled among towering pine trees, the cabin sat next to a babbling brook, with a view of the mountains that took your breath away. Our days were spent hiking, exploring hidden trails, and marveling at the raw beauty of the wilderness. In the evenings, we'd sit by the fireplace, sipping hot cocoa, our hearts full of shared dreams for the future. It was here, under the stars, that Mark proposed, presenting me with a simple, elegant ring he had designed himself. His proposal was everything, sincere, heartfelt, and a reflection of the deep love and commitment we shared. With each passing day, my journey towards self-acceptance and career confidence grew stronger. I found joy in my work as an art instructor, helping my students unlock their own creativity. Meanwhile, Mark's graduate program pushed him to refine his craft, and he began to earn recognition for his poetry. Together, we faced new challenges, yet our love remained the foundation upon which we built our lives. One of the most pivotal moments in my journey came when I decided to pursue a master's degree in art therapy. Combining my love for art with my desire to help others, I found a sense of purpose that filled me with pride. The program was intense, but it helped me explore new dimensions of my creativity while also teaching me the therapeutic power of art. Throughout it all, Mark stood by me, cheering me on through every success and providing comfort during my moments of doubt. His belief in me fueled my confidence, allowing me to take risks and trust in my abilities, even when I wasn't sure I could. When I started my internship as an art therapist, I was thrown into the deep end. The work was challenging, yet incredibly rewarding. One particular client, Mia, left a lasting impact. She had faced immense trauma and struggled with severe anxiety, yet through art therapy, she began to express herself, finding healing and growth. Watching her transformation was humbling, and it reminded me why I had chosen this path. It mirrored my own growth, the way I had learned to trust in myself, my abilities, and the therapeutic process. As I transitioned into my full-time career as an art therapist, I found a deep sense of fulfillment. The work was demanding, but it was also profoundly rewarding. My confidence grew with every client I helped, every success I witnessed. Through it all, Mark remained my pillar, unwavering in his support. Our relationship was a constant source of strength and inspiration. We celebrated each other's successes, faced challenges hand in hand, and grew stronger with time. Together, we had built something beautiful, a foundation built on love, trust, and mutual respect. Reflecting on my journey, I realized that true self-acceptance wasn't about achieving external success. It was about embracing who I was, my passions, and finding joy in the process. And as I looked toward the future, with Mark by my side, I knew I was ready for whatever came next. He had taught me to see myself with compassion and respect, and I would carry that lesson with me for the rest of my life. The love we shared was the thread that wove through every part of my story, a story I could now tell with confidence. The words lingered in the air, like a heavy fog, suffocating me. The comparison to Emma, the feeling of constantly being in her shadow, came rushing back in that single moment. I tried, desperately, to join in the conversation, but my mind was a whirlwind, torn between what was happening and the silent hurt building inside me. It wasn't just about the comment. No, it was so much more. It was the searing realization that even Mark, the person who should have seen and loved me for who I was, seemed to find Emma more captivating than me. It was a painful truth, one that sliced through me like a sharp knife. Mark, lost in his laughter and chatting carelessly with his friends, didn't seem to notice the turmoil unfolding in my heart. The anger and sadness swirled within me, battling for control. How could he not see how deeply his words had wounded me? How could he remain so blind to the weight of his comment? I couldn't take it anymore. I needed space, needed to escape, if only for a moment, to gather the pieces of myself that were now scattered on the floor. Quietly, I excused myself and retreated inside. The kitchen, bathed in the soft glow of the dimming light, felt like a sanctuary. I stood there, staring out at the lake, the water growing darker as the night settled in. Tears threatened to spill, but I fought them back. The evening had started as a celebration, a joyous occasion, and yet here I was, staring into the void, reminded of all my insecurities and how they haunted me, especially in the shadow of Emma. When the gathering finally came to an end, and Mark and I headed toward bed, the silence between us was thick, unbearable. As we lay there in the darkness, I couldn't hold back any longer. The words trembled on my lips. "Mark," I whispered, my voice unsteady, "why did you say that about Emma tonight?" He turned to me, confusion written all over his face, as though he hadn't a clue what I was talking about. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice soft. I took a shaky breath, forcing the words out. "You said if everyone thinks I'm pretty, they should see my sister," I explained, my voice breaking. "And then you showed them her photos. Do you have any idea how that made me feel?" For a moment, his expression remained blank. Then, like a wave crashing on the shore, realization washed over him. He reached for my hand, his touch warm, but I pulled away. "Lily, I'm so sorry," he said, his voice filled with regret. "I didn't mean it like that." But I couldn't shake the feeling. "But that's how it felt," I replied, my voice barely a whisper. "It felt like you were saying she's more beautiful than me. Like I'm not enough. And you did it in front of all your friends. It was humiliating." His face softened, his eyes full of remorse, but the pain still clung to me. "I didn't think about it that way," he murmured, his voice apologetic. "I was just trying to show them how amazing your family is." I'm really sorry, Lily. You know I love you. I think you're beautiful. His words, though heartfelt, didn't ease the pain. The wound was still raw, too deep to heal with just words. It's not just about tonight, I whispered, tears threatening to spill. It's about always being compared to Emma. I thought you understood how hard that is for me. I do understand, Mark insisted, his voice full of guilt. I was just being stupid, careless. Please, forgive me. I didn't mean to hurt you. I wanted to believe him, to let go of the pain and move forward. But the comment had dug too deep. It wasn't something I could just forget. I need some time, I said, my voice steady now. I need to process this. Mark nodded, his eyes full of regret. Take all the time you need, Lily. I'll be here when you're ready to talk. The days that followed were a blur. The comment replayed in my mind, over and over again, each time cutting deeper than before. The more I thought about it, the more my insecurities bubbled up, until they consumed me. I found myself avoiding social media, unable to stomach the images of Emma, glowing and admired by everyone. I couldn't bear it. I distanced myself from Mark, needing space to sort through my feelings. Mark tried, in his own way, to make amends. He left me sweet notes, planned thoughtful gestures, apologized repeatedly. I could see he was trying, but the wound was still too fresh. I couldn't move past it. I turned to my close friends for support, needing their perspective. They were understanding, comforting, and reminded me of my worth. Lily, you're an incredible person, Sarah, my best friend, said one afternoon as we sipped coffee. Mark loves you for who you are. He made a mistake, but that doesn't change how amazing you are. Their words brought me some comfort, but the internal battle remained. I can't escape the constant comparisons to her, I confessed, my voice tinged with exhaustion. And I don't think I ever will. It's exhausting. How do I overcome these insecurities? As I reflected on the journey that had led me to this point, I found myself drawn to the perspectives shared by others who had heard my story. Their reflections provided a fresh lens, a way to see my situation more clearly, like holding up a mirror to confront the truths I had been avoiding. One comment stood out, 36 is too old for that kind of foot-in-mouth syndrome with a partner, even if alcohol is involved. Not only is he too old to not know better, but it's not even a foot-in-mouth situation. He didn't just casually acknowledge that your sister was beautiful, he insulted you, then proceeded to show off your sister to his friends for their approval. If this is the way he acts in front of his girlfriend, imagine how he behaves behind her back. That hit hard. It wasn't just a careless mistake, it was a deeper issue of respect. Mark should have known better, especially at his age. The comment made me wonder, if this is how he acts in front of me, what does that say about how he truly feels?